Okay, we're live.
Morning, guys.
Morning. How's it going?
Not too bad, are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Okay, we'll do some fresh analysis on gold in a sec. Just wait for a few more people to join. Morning. Yeah, gold could continue moving bearish. Morning. Right, we'll give it a couple minutes here, wait for a few people to join, and then we're gonna make a start. Monday morning. So I would say my current idea right now on GJ is, obviously we had a strong resistance around, I think it was 142, 180. We broke above that in the Asian session. We then retraced, created some support, made a new high. So we also created resistance at 142, 250. If we look left, this is also a previous 30-minute resistance. We can see how we came up to this area, rejected it. Now if we look at the 7 a.m. candle, it's pretty interesting because it came right below this area, it came into this liquidity zone, and it closed a very weak 30-minute candle. So I've got two ideas, well, kind of one main idea right now. And if you look at the 15-minute, we had this area here. I was like, okay, well, we need to respect this area if we're going to continue moving up, because since this was the support coming into pre-London, we can see how we came down, closed below this area. And then the next 15-minute candle, it came up to close back above, right? It came to close back above. So my kind of rule of thumb is that, I mean, if the current 30-minute candle or this current 15-minute candle breaks the high of the previous 15-minute, or we could say the previous 30-minute, I think there's a good chance at that point that we could continue moving bullish. If we take a look at the 4-hour, see the 4-hour has closed above all this area to the left. So if you look at this current wick, this could be the retest, the rejection for us to start leaving to go bullish. If you take a look on the 1 hour, 1 hour is trying to create some support. I think that's going to be a good idea if this current 30-minute candle can break the high of the previous 30-minute candle, and then we could have a stop. Maybe not really too much risk, but below the current 30-minute candle. I think that could be a good idea. Let's take a look at the 15-minute. Yeah, I think that could make sense. Yeah, I think that could make sense. Since if we look at this 30-minute candle, it was a very weak 30-minute candle. So naturally, if we break the high of this candle, I think it's going to be a good opportunity for price to continue moving bullish. Maybe even that 4-hour flipping bullish. But yeah, we're going to need to be cautious, and we'll see. Ooh, a bit of a madness right there. What's going on? But sells look super messy. I mean, we have so many like minor support areas now. You know, the only clean range is based on the 1 hour, but then we have this like rejection wick over here. Already rejected it. So yeah, I mean, let's say this candle can't break the high and it just closes in the range. Then at that point, then I'll be like, okay, we need to wait for a close above this resistance over here for us to continue up. But yeah, right now this could be just creating a bottom wick. But I do think a break of the previous high is going to be a good opportunity. To be honest, it's good since it's come down because now it's created a little bit of a bottom wick. So if we come up to break the high now, we should not be breaking its own low in that sense. So yeah, I suppose we just have to wait. But I think sells, yeah, I'm not really liking the sells, to be honest. You know, there's a lot of mess, there's a lot of traffic. Yeah, I'm not really sure at this point for sells. You know, maybe if there's like a minor resistance created, it's going to be like a stronger confirmation. But, you know, we have this minor support here now, which is going to be like some form of strong level since we came down and we closed back in the range. We also have this other minor support here. We can see this candle came down, tapped into this support, and then came up and closed at this area. So I think overall, it's going to be pretty tough. As well as if you measure this range, just to this support, it's only like 7 pips, you know. But if you measure this whole range, it's like 12 pips, which isn't amazing. But like, you know, there's just so much mess within this 12 pip range. It just doesn't make sense for me at the moment. How are you now, bro? Yeah, I'm feeling better now. I felt a bit rough towards the end of last week, but yeah, all good now. Thank you. You didn't come online last week, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, no, I wasn't feeling too good, but I feel better now. I just want to, when I come on the charts, I want to be focused. I want to be fresh, healthy. You know, if I'm feeling under the weather, I don't want to be making any bad decisions. You know, so, but yeah, this is pretty messy right now. So maybe a little bit of waiting over here today. Okay, so while we're just chilling, we've got GJ. Let's take a look on gold. Okay, so start off here with the daily. So if we look at gold on the daily time frame, I mean, a potential area we could come down to is to fill this wick from before the weekend, right? Something that could occur. But since we would need to start seeing, you know, smaller time frame candles closing below this previous area. So since we have this previous zone to the left hand side, we would need the smaller time frames to start closing below this area. So let's take a look on the 4 hour. Let's remove this for a sec. Let's neaten up this zone. So based on the 4 hour, we have this area here to the left. And now what we're seeing is the previous 4 hour candle, it came down and actually closed below this area. So I think there's a good chance that we can continue moving bearish. But obviously we need to respect this high over here. Since we've broken the low, it's pretty good. It's retracing at the moment. So we're not really sure 100% yet. But I think it's going to be a good area for gold to come down to around 1844. Let's take a look on the 1 hour time frame. So 1 hour kind of did like a breakout. If we just remove everything, we had a support over here. So 1 hour kind of came down, broke did a little bit of a retest to continue, so we could be coming up to create some resistance, do like a retest on the 4-hour, or yeah, could just be retracing a little bit. This gold is pretty erratic, so you're not really sure. Let's neaten this up from a 30-minute perspective. So yeah, gold needs to respect 1853, 770 for it to continue down. But we do have a low created, so if we can form some resistance, there's a good possibility it's going to retest this low. It's like a 30 pip range. Take a look on the 15-minute. 15 minutes a little bit messy right now, but we can kind of see the area that needs to be respected. So we'll come back to gold. What's going on with GJ right now? Yeah, it seems it's coming down currently, but we're not really sure. It's got like 4 minutes left. Let's take a look on the 5-minute. Yeah, 5-minute. A bit messy right now. Very messy structure. Good morning. We are in the top of a daily, weekly, and 4-hour. Can go down to retest 141,200 and can break and fly. Wait and see. Yeah, maybe. I think we're already... No, we're not at 141,200. Yeah, it can do. But let's take a look at the higher time frames. So if you take a look at the weekly... we've already come up to fill the weekly wick fill from last week. So we've already come up to do so, which was around like 30-40 pips. We haven't broken the high yet, so we could retrace, break us so low and do some form of retest. But let's take a look on the daily. But since the daily, right, if we look at the daily time frame, we have resistance right over here on the daily, and we've broken the high of that previous daily candle. Right, we've broken that high at 142,200. So I said once we break this high, there's a very good chance at that point that we can continue moving up. Since we're in a range, we have a range. Price is breaking the high. If this daily candle also closes above these rejection wicks, I think Tuesday's candle is going to be the one to continue the move. But obviously, we need to wait and see here because the 4 hours. So the 4 hours broken out. The 4 hours broken out. It would have to be a fake out for us to come back to 141,200. It'd have to be a fake out. So right now, there's no evidence of a fake out on a 4 hour. Right now, it's just done a retest. So we're not really sure at this point whether it's going to continue or what. So yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see. But this 30-minute candle's still open. So, and we have to wait. 15-minute candle still open. It could have just been creating that lower wick and then now starts to come up to break the high. We don't know yet. My only issue is obviously coming into 8 a.m. Gonna probably wait and see what happens. I think what I'd like ideally is for this 30-minute candle to close bullish, and then for 8 a.m. to wick down, respect this low, and then break the high of this 30-minute candle. Then I can anticipate at that point that we should continue moving up. I think that would be I think that'd be the best outcome, but we're not really sure at this point. It can, since it's created this lower wick, continue. So I suppose just gotta wait and see what happens. And if we break this high, could have a stop below the current candle, which is going to be around 9 pips to continue moving up. Always coming up to break the high over here. 15-minute candles got like 7 seconds to close. Let's just wait for the candle to close. 15-minute candle closed bullish. So, I mean, yeah, if we break this high right over here, I think there's a very good possibility that we could continue moving up. Coming into London Open. So just waiting to see here if we can break the high. I mean, if you look on the 15-minute, let's take a look on the 15-minute candle real quick. Yeah, it closed with a little bit of a wick, not a massive wick. So yeah, let's wait and see if we can break this high over here. And then we could get a little push leading into pre-London, but I'm just gonna wait. Okay, so 15-minute probably created a bit of a bottom wick at this point.
Harrison, would you be setting a buy stop?
No, I don't have a buy stop. I just do manual. I always do manual. Yeah. So it seems as though we're coming up to break the high in a sec. Potentially. But at worst way, let's say this 30-minute candle closes bullish in the range. Then as the next candle breaks this current 30 minutes candle high, then we could execute on that buy position. So we still got some time over here. But yeah, no, I never do buy stops. I mean, sometimes you can do buy stops is good. But for me, I'd rather just manually press it. Look at the 1 hour. 1 hour is also creating a support. So when we see the 1 hour creating support just below resistance, this is where I say, okay, if we can break the 1 hour high, we can continue moving on. So I think that's going to be a really good opportunity. Even if this 30-minute closes in the range, you know, if the 15-minute closes in the range, that's no issue, because then it sets away. As long as this 1 hour can close bullish, as long as this 30-minute candle can close bullish within this range, and then 8 a.m. wicks down and then breaks the high, I think it's going to be a really good opportunity at that point. So let's stay patient and let's wait. Morning. Okay, we've got 10 minutes here. I'm just gonna put on some stream music. Start stream music. Yeah, either way, that'd be really nice if the 30-minute can close bullish and then the 15-minute candle can close like a weak bearish candle. That would be perfect. That would be very nice. So I'd rather this 15-minute candle to close bearish, like a weak bearish candle. But at the same time, I mean, you know, we've seen plenty of times, you know, the last 5 minutes that GJ just can run. So if we do break this high, I'll still enter in. You know, because London Open, we shouldn't really be coming below the zone or, you know, coming back to these lows. We should create a little bit of a bottom wick and then just continue on at that point. But yeah, looking at the 15-minute, I'd much prefer if it was bearish. But at the same time, if we have volume coming in the last 5 minutes to break this high, then, you know, can still execute. And then, yeah, go from there. Oh, so coming up to break the high over here. There we go. So we've broken the high. Broken the high on the 30-minute time frame. So place the little buy over here. So the stop loss is going to be below the current candle. Now since we've broken this high, we would be expecting this 30-minute to continue moving bullish. There's a couple of things though that we need to understand. And the first thing is that for this trade to be ideally valid, You know, we need really the candle to close above this resistance, like for the buys to still be truly valid. But at the same time, if it closes back in the range, it makes it harder, but it still can continue moving up. You know, because then we need it to break that high. But then I don't really want to be sitting through that drawdown. So if it does, then I probably will take something off. But we've seen plenty of times here that since now we're breaking the high in the last 5 minutes, I think this could be a good opportunity for us to see a little bit of a push up. But at worst way, I'd like it to close above this area. And then I'm fairly confident after that, you know, we should respect this 15-minute low over here and then continue that push up. So yeah, we're just gonna wait and see how the candle closes.
Because yeah, I missed a few trades last week looking back where if I just got in and see if that 5 minute closes above, then you can stay in that trade because you get that extra confirmation. If it doesn't, then you can take a fair bit off.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how it closes. I think it's one of those situations where it shouldn't have broken the high in the last 5 minutes if we wasn't gonna like close above or continue, you know, because more than likely if we were gonna break the high, we would just continue on at that point. Whereas we never broke the high, we were just closed in the range and then we just wait for the next candle, you know, a volume to break that high. So right now my only condition really for me to stay full position is I want to see it close above realistically. But yeah, we'll see. So you could argue like your buy stop's been activated or whatever and you're just anticipating at this point a continuation. Just take a look on the 5 minute. Yeah, 5 minutes. Yeah, I don't know, let's just wait and see how the candle closes and then we can talk risk management then. Oh, that was a nasty pullback. Nasty pullback. Okay. So I suppose we got to be a bit cautious here. Man, GJ is just a crazy pair at times. I swear down, it does some mad stuff.
I've literally just realised, like, for some reason, I've only entered in like just over half a position, but I don't know why that's the case.
What do you mean? You didn't put in a full position?
Well, my magic keys obviously reset itself or something.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I'm not going to change anything now.
Nah.
Only a Monday anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got 1 minute left. I think if the 1 hour can close above this area, I think this is looking pretty good to continue moving up. 30 minutes should be closing above. 15 minute. Yeah, we've got around a minute and a half. This should close bullish. But yeah, I mean, that 5 minute was a bit scary there.
It might actually be able to add a bit more position if it closes above.
Yeah, I think that's going to be because then imagine if it doesn't and if it was a losing trade, then you're going to be like happy that, okay, maybe you didn't put in full position at that point. Okay, I'm going to set. Actually, I want to delete that. Oh well, okay. I've set a partial TP way too high than I wanted to, but there we go. Okay, so it seems as though the 30 minutes going to close above in this instance. Ooh, it closed with no wick to the top. Interesting. Okay, well, okay, so the 15-minute, the 30-minute candle closed with no wick to the top, which doesn't make it amazing, but oh, we're moving here already with volume. So, I mean, yeah, I think the way we're gonna have to work this out is if this candle breaks the low right over here, I think most of the position needs to be exited at that point, because that would be a pretty big pullback since we're moving up into profits at this point. So yeah, let's wait and see. But usually if there was no wick to the top, see, if I was in a buy position waiting for the close, I probably wouldn't have entered in at this point, you know, because I don't really like to see that. So I probably will be a bit more cautious at this particular moment now. But we'll see, because we still could continue with volume at this point just because there's no wick. It's like a 50-50 chance. You know, we're moving pretty high up at this point, so yeah, let's just roll with it. I think maybe a good option, since it had no wick to the top, right? If this current candle breaks its own low, it doesn't really make sense. Ooh, nice, beautiful. You know, this is pretty long wick to say if it's going to break its own low. Would not make sense with London Open volume. It did it in the first minute. You look at that 5-minute candle. Yeah, I don't see us coming to return back to this zone at this point. Obviously, I could be wrong, but just from what I've seen, I don't see it doing that. So, yeah. I mean, I think a really good runner TP is going to be 142.550. I think that's going to be a beautiful runner TP. But since I'm in profits already to start the Monday, this is where I've made mistakes in the past, which, you know, sometimes you got to learn from your mistakes. And that is why I'm probably not going to want to let this trade go into drawdown at this point. So once we break this wick, I think we're going to be off to the races.
Yeah, I'll be bust up below the current wick.
Yeah.
Just playing it safe on a Monday.
Yeah, I think a break even once we start to push around 7 pips is going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't enter any more because of that, the way it closed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I checked. It was it changed to, instead of fixed lot size, it was percentage of account.
Right.
That's why actually they put in less.
Yeah.
But I sorted it out now, so it should be good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is the point we need to start being cautious. Well, I will want to be cautious.
Pivot points to whoever asked the question. Yeah, you can use pivots again.
Oh.
I don't really. I wouldn't really know. Like, I wouldn't really know.
Don't want to get demonetized over here. Thank you. I know sometimes people don't realize they're unmuted. Oh, 5 minutes flipping bearish.
I'm already out of this now. I don't know that rejection at all. It just looked like it's tried to like retest that high we made earlier. It's just rejected.
Yeah, I got out of this too. Yeah, not liking this at all. Big rejection. Back in the range. Yeah, I got out with like a -1 pip.
I got like +1 pip, I think.
Yeah, I think that was a good decision. Because actually, if you look at the 5 minute, there's quite a big rejection to continue back down. Oh yeah, look at this. We're coming right back in the range. So, yeah, I think that was a good decision.
literally what happened on my Thursday trade, it kind of done that. And I noticed it started coming down like that same wick formation.
Yeah.
Just out of it.
Yeah, that's my one trade for today. Yeah, I didn't like it. Didn't feel comfortable since we pushed. You see, once we were this high, we should have continued on at that point. We had no reason to kind of like come back. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with closing out with a small loss. Why are you watching Todd Capital's stream? You're not copying his trade. No, I wasn't watching anyone's streams. That was someone in the Zoom's mic was unmuted. I just muted them. But yeah, that's up to them if they want to watch somebody else's stream, just not while it's unmuted. So yeah, there you go. So yeah, I mean the buys looked really good, you know, but since they kind of had no wick to the top, it just made no sense to see, when it had no wick to the top, we watched that last time and it just continued. So there wasn't like a point where I was like, okay, well, we've retraced. You know, it just continued on. But I think if anybody's holding buys, you would just want to, you know, really manage the risk at this point. But I'm happy to close out, really.
Yeah, I was actually quite wary about today. Like maybe wait until we break. It was a previous weekly high at 142, 330. Before you can get a clean like 25 pip range for buys.
Yeah.
Because it seems like we're having problems.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is at this point. Yeah, if this kind of had a bit more of a wick to the top, I think obviously you can't control what would happen, but it would have made maybe more sense. Because look, if you think about it, right, we moved 6, nearly 7 pips into profit. We came to this wick and we kind of couldn't really break it. And then we see the 5-minute flipping bearish. And then look at it now, 15-minute candle's coming down. If it breaks this 15-minute candle low, it's going to come back in this range. Yeah, just awful. Yeah, there you go. See, it's broken the low on the 15-minute. This is where I would have closed 50% right now. Had I been in, you know, full buy position, or would have probably closed 50% when we came back to entry, but this is where I would have closed further positions at this point. So yeah, I think we done well to get out of that one. So there we go. It's pretty much break even, but obviously I've got to pay a bit of commission. I got like a -1 pip. You know, and then if you think about it, since we broke that 15-minute low, it increases the chances of price hitting stop loss. You know, and so we went from being 6 pips in profit to now 7 pips in drawdown. Man, yeah, I'm glad. I'm super glad I got out of that one. Look at that. I think it's... Oh, yeah, look at that. Disgusting.
Yeah, it's not a better feeling getting out of that.
Yeah.
Knowing you saved yourself some money at the start of the week.
Yeah, 100%. That could have been a full loss there to start the week.
Harrison, do you think it's because Monday, Monday and Friday, you didn't trade before?
Not really. I mean, I think I've seen a lot of Mondays move pretty well. I've also seen a fair bit of Fridays. I just think, like today, so when I looked at today, I said, okay, well, once we break the previous daily high, we should continue. So everything was screaming buys, right? 4 hour broken out, did a retest, so definitely a heavy bullish bias. 1 hour time frame, it created support after rejecting in pre-London, so everything was screaming buys. But really, I know it's a bit hard to like even I don't fully understand it, but when I see a no wick to the top, it does kind of mean that, you know, there wasn't enough range for price to continue. And from what I've seen happen is that when I see a no wick on a Monday, it's probably not a good thing. So that's why once it started pushing, I was like, okay, well, that's fine, because it still can go up. It's like, you know, 50-50 chance. But if it pulls back to the entry, then it's going to be very risky to hold the trade at that point. But yeah, I mean, like, some Mondays, you know, it's like, oh, it's a Monday, you know, no rush. But it's just the way that Friday's candle closed that I was thinking that Monday's candle could do the move, you know. In the Asian session, we'd already filled the weekly wick. You know, is another like confluence that, okay, we've already filled the weekly high from last week, so all we need to do is break this daily high. I mean, and then we could be off, you know, with this rejection, this clear rejection. So I personally think if we're not going to see the move today, as long as this daily can close above this resistance, then Tuesday's candle is likely to continue that push up. But yeah, it is what it is, I suppose. But yeah, this is just disgusting. Look at that. It pulled right back. It's actually going now to where my like target for sells was. 1 15-minute candle. I mean, there was a situation, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, where we had no wick to the top and it just flew up, and I stayed out of it, but it just continued running. But yeah, this is a deep pullback.
I think there was some news, JPY news.
JPY news?
Yeah, that's what I think I saw on your chart on the bottom. Maybe that's why I just pulled back.
JPY news. No, I don't think there's any JPY news. No, I don't think there's any news right now. We can check the... No, I don't really see anything. Nothing like influential. Wow, look at this. Straight down. See, if the 4 hour surpasses this previous 4 hour low, then we could just come right back in the range at this point. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, we had 6-7 pips in the bag again, like what happened last Monday, and then boom, just complete retrace. Yeah, it's obviously reacted to this wick rejection from the 20th of Jan. Because this was the area where we came up to, I think it was last week, you know, and then once we came to this particular price level, I mean, we just corrected that whole move. So, I mean, yeah. GJ starting to play games, same as last week. I had hopes for this week. I think it'll still be a good week. You just gotta... I think if as long as you always like step with caution, you know, you treat every trade the same, you don't ever get too complacent on the bias, then yeah. Because all the higher time frame was screaming buys, everything was bullish, you know, the buys look so good, but then look, this is just pure example of why, you know, being too fixated on the bias can hurt you. I mean, I know I can't say who, but I know some people there would have held buys because, you know, they were so convinced it would have gone up, and then this one candle just stopped everybody out. Okay, let's check out gold over here, see what gold's doing. So gold seems as though it's trying to create some resistance in this area. So I suppose we'll have to wait and see what happens here. I'm to GU. Let's check out GU. Same thing. But actually, if you look on GU, it did have a wick to the top, which is interesting. Because actually, when I see this structure, it's pretty good structure continues. So, yeah, it's pretty tough. GCAD 30-minute trying to close below this support. So this is where market opened. GCAD closes below the support. There's a very good chance it can continue down. I think it's going to be a good target over here for GCAD. $15-minute candle closed below. If it can create some resistance over here, I think GCAD sells could play out really well. It's like 24, 25 pip range. Bank of Japan speaking. Yeah, but I don't really see, I don't think any like Japanese news, sorry, is going to really affect GBP right now, because in terms of what institutions are open, you know, it's London institutions, European institutions, You know, so yeah, I think this is just one of those situations. The resurgence of COVID-19 and the state of emergency would tend to dampen Japan's economic recovery. In this kind of situation, the most important policy is to avoid unemployment and corporate failures. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. That's kind of funny. When Harman said that, I have this notifications on my phone, and I know I told people before, but so when someone from like another country comes on and views the website, I can see what country they're from, and it's funny because I'm my very first visitor from Japan. Ooh, GCAD's coming back in the range. Gold looks like it's coming down to retest this low. Take a look on the 15-minute. 15-minute candle did close bearish, but at the same time, yeah, I suppose it made sense. Take a look on the 5-minute. I think once we start closing below 1850, 500, there should be a nice drop on gold anyway, because we have this nice clean candle to mirror.
I was thinking, Harrison,
Yeah.
if you look on the 1 hour, from the Asian session open, from the market open,
Yep.
we've had like a constant bullish momentum.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say like we've had some kind of like weak bullish candles, so I think for this 1 hour to pull back, probably it would have been like a good idea to see this 1 hour to print bearish,
Mm-hmm.
but still respect the 142.60 level. And then maybe if we retest the high, then maybe that'll be like a good confirmation for buys.
Yeah, I mean,
That makes sense.
yeah, it makes sense. It makes complete sense. My only issue is that, when you look at the candles, what you're kind of looking for is, as price is moving up, you can start to see how we're leaving these areas. So obviously this was your market open, we're leaving this area. Now we're starting to leave this zone. As we're coming into pre-London, we created more liquidity in this zone. And then when this candle came down, it came back to this area. So it came back to this zone right over here, right? You can see how it tapped into this liquidity zone, and then it came up to go bullish. Now, if you think about it, this candle here was a rejection. This was a rejection wick. So when the next candle retraces and then closes above this area, there was a very, very, very high chance that we would continue that move up at that point. The reason why is because if this was a rejection, this candle could not close above this area. The other thing as well is this wick down, I thought was the liquidity grab for the pre-London move. So since it moved down so much and then came up to close above, I mean, I've seen that happen a lot of times, and a lot of times it's going to continue on with that. So this candle here is just like, like in science, like an anomaly. It's something you can't control. The indication that this may happen was based off the no wick to the top. The no wick was the indication that we could see a pullback. We could see, there's a possibility that we could not continue moving up due to the fact we had no range to go. So if this candle had a nice wick to the top, in real life, I think that would have worked out, because in a sense it would have suggested that we had the range to continue on. So I mean, I think your idea is correct. I think for the higher time frames, so let's say from a 4-hour perspective, I would say that, okay, let's say you're looking for like a swing setup, which obviously something I'm not, then you're right, this area needs to be respected. This whole zone needs to be respected. We can see we have multiple rejections over here. Then we had the volume to continue up. Then we came back to revisit this area. And then now we're just coming back again. So this is just a deeper liquidity grab. Yes, we could continue higher, but now we would need a close above this area, because now this is our new resistance. So I wouldn't be looking for buys really until we're back above this area. But to be honest, the way that the price action is right now is very messy. It just doesn't really make sense. There's no position to sell because this is pretty risky area. You have below this zone, but then there's not enough range in this area. This is only around not even 10 pips. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think that's gonna be I think based on the 4-hour, the bias bullish is still there, but we don't know, because the 4-hour could still let's look at the 4-hour. So the 4-hour could close bearish, right? And on our intraday, it's still just kind of ranging, consolidating here. But on the 4-hour, right, it's almost like it's going to do something like this. So since we're now leaving this zone, right, if this is a whole zone on the 4-hour, now we could see, a situation where the next 4-hour is going to wick back down into this zone again, and then start to drive up. That's something we could see. Because for an example, right, if you just kind of visualize the structure, this is something that we see on the smaller time frames. Like maybe something like this. You know, maybe something like this, because maybe not the best example, but something like this in effect, because you know, we have candles closing bullish, breaking above, next one closes bearish, and then, you know, you could get like a deeper liquidity grab, but then it starts to go bullish. But let's just say this one's on top of that one, it could look something like that. But right now the 30 minutes also close back below our key level, 142.200. So yeah, I don't know at this point, man. I don't see no buys, I don't see no sells, unless it can create like a minor resistance here. Then I suppose you have a clean range at that point, but it's not really a big range, you know, it's like 10-11 pips. So I think if it creates a resistance here, I think a good move would be to sell, but I'm done for the day at this point for me. But yeah, I think that could be a possibility of like a wick fill on the 30-minute incoming over here.
Thank you, Harrison.
Yeah, no worries. Okay.
No, see what I like to say on what I like to say on the Asian session. It's nice to have that range. You know, sometimes we like that small range to be created, and then usually on the London session we have a really good trade. But lately, just I mean, the last week and for last night, the Asian session seems to still have a bit more structure on the higher time frame, like on the 1 hour when we just seen, you know, candles printing bullish. But we're just gonna have to wait. I mean, it's nice to see that you've managed to trade and at the start of the week, and at least you gave, you know, your buyers a chance. Yeah, but well played. Your one will team it really well. Well done.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
No worries.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those situations, like, you know, let's say we really held the buys, you know, we just had to manage risk. But I did say, like, since it had no wick to the top, it's not something I'd usually be in a buy. It's not a time I usually take buys. So I think it was one of those situations where you really had to be cautious and careful when managing the risk. So as it come back to my entry, yeah, I knew at that point, you know, I should be closing out this trade. It's not looking good. But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, there's been plenty of times we've seen it run with no wick to the top, but if you want a high win rate, if you want the probabilities on your side, then, you know, your probabilities are just down to 50-50 at that point. You know, whereas most of the time when a candle leaves a wick, most of the time it's like a more 60-70% chance the next one's going to continue, you know. But from what I've seen, like, here's an example, you know, this candle had no wick to the bottom, and then we see the next candle goes bullish. You know, so, but then you could argue, then we have this candle here, had barely a wick to the top, but the next one did go bullish, so it's like 50-50. Similar example here, no wick to the top, candle went bearish. Barely a wick to the top, candle went bearish. You know, my best examples are when there's no wick to the bottom. Now, when there's no wick to the bottom, I'm not so concerned if it's a healthy candle. You know, because you can see here we had no wick to the bottom, but we did continue due to the fact that, you know, there was no range for price to go down. It was just straight buys. Would you take a buy if price forms support on the 1 hour? I don't know. It depends, because this is quite a deep liquidity grab. So where would your support be to start with? Oh, sorry. So, I mean, the other thing as well is, you know, now if we remove everything now, right? This becomes your resistance. This becomes your resistance because this was the area where price went bearish. So, I mean, if we look at it from a 1 hour perspective, you know, yeah, we could come back to this zone. I think if you wanted to, like, be a bit of a hero, you could say, okay, well, if we come back to like 142.060 and form support, then we could continue up, because this was the, like, the highs before the weekend. But yeah, I mean, if you take a look on the 30-minute, it's very messy. We also have this support over here. Yeah, look at the 15-minute. It's just messy. Yeah, I think the best opportunity for buys is going to be back above 142.280. I mean, if you break above there, then I think that's the point at which it's going to continue. Yeah, it seems like we're pushing down over here too. Yeah, and I really just don't like sells. There's just so many issues. So much traffic. Okay. Right, anyway, I'm gonna go make a drink quick while we wait. Oh, looks like gold came down, but now it's starting to go bullish. GCAD closed back in the range. GU, kind of doing the same thing as GJ right now. Right, yeah, I'm gonna go make a drink. I'll be back in around 5-10 minutes, and then we'll see where price is at.
your sentence stands to go. What if everybody's just alright? What if we got nothing more than this? Please remember what I said about magic. Remember what I told you about us. Please remember what I said about magic. Remember what I told you about us. About us. About us. Hey you, can you tell me where to look out for the signs? I've been waiting, hesitating for the stars to align. I've tried following the path to you, but I haven't got a clue which way to go. Hey you, how's the sunset from your unpolluted eyes? Does it burn the way you turned and walked right into your own lies? I've tried following the path to you, but I haven't got a clue which way to go. I don't want this to turn into something do or die. All I ever wanted was a chance for you and I don't want this to turn into something do or die. All I ever wanted was a chance for you and Maybe in time we've grown apart. Maybe what we had never got it started. Maybe it's time to break it down for you. Baby, you were lost with a broken heart, thinking maybe we were always meant to part. Maybe it's time to break it down for Hey you, can you tell me I don't need your good advice. I don't need you by my side. I just need me and myself tonight. Don't make me look like a fool. Don't tell me what to do. I just wanna spend the night on my own. I don't need a
Okay, sorry about that, guys. We're back. Oh, looks like the 15-minute did create that resistance. Anybody take sells? Did anybody take sells?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
Yeah. See, this is the next issue zone for if price is gonna either continue up or continue down. If it's gonna obviously, right now price action is bearish, but I mean, if we're still gonna head up longer term, we need to start respecting these, you know, deeper support levels. Seems as though we're gonna break that. Are strats like head and shoulders or hammer and doji? I have no idea what strats is. Couldn't tell you. Oh, beautiful. Looks like gold is trying to break below 1850. Gold sells under 1850. Yeah, I think that makes sense. 1850, 700. Yeah, I think that's gonna make sense. Let's take a look at the 1 hour. Yeah, I think it can continue moving down, definitely. The thing is okay, so I think first of all, potentially if the 15-minute candle closes below and the next one breaks the low, that could be a good point of entry. But I mean, with the 30-minute, maybe you want to wait for the 30-minute to close below. But I mean, it's a little bit up to the individual. Yeah, I think gold eventually could, by the end of the day, reach 1843 500. I think that could be a really nice target with these clean candles to the left, but we need to break down below 1850. GCAD just ranging hard. GJ, yeah, just a shit Monday, really. I think this candle could have been a good sell, but on this candle here, but at the same time, I mean, yeah, it was a little bit, yeah, it was just not amazing range. Pretty sure every person who trades GJ in London took the same trade this morning. Oh, did other people take the same trade? I think it was a good idea. I think it was a good trade in terms of the execution, the anticipation. It just didn't play out, you know. So it is what it is. 4 hour. We got 53 minutes left for the 4 hour to close, and the 4 hour needs to stay above 142, 150 in order for it to continue moving up. So yeah. Oh yeah, it was a good trade. It made complete sense. You know, maybe, okay, let's say we'd wait for the candle to close wouldn't have even taken the trade possibly, since they kind of had no wick to the top. But at the same time, we was anticipating, since we broke the high of the week 30-minute big rejection, that we should continue. I mean, if you read the candles, it made complete sense. It pushed. We had 6.5 pips in the bag, and then price did its thing. So just one of them situations.
I think on gold, like good sales will be having like closes below 1849, 650, and we'll have like a nice range up to 1847, 950.
What's that? Sorry, for buys.
No, for sales on gold. So we've got like a 16 pip range, and then potentially could leave runners to 1843 if we had like a good volume.
Yeah, so once we break this support 1850, sorry.
Yeah, because we've got a bit of a range on the 15-minute time frame. We're just looking at the
Yeah, it's just consolidating right now.
Yeah. We just need a bit more volume to be felt on the market.
Yeah, I think if pre-New York starts to break below 1850, then I mean MY could take price all the way down to 1843, 500. I think that would be a really good move. GU's kind of doing the same thing over here, but GU is continuing bearish. Looks like GJ is also trying to continue bearish. Gold is just still ranging. Daily's even starting to come back below 142.80 4 hour. So yeah, 4 hour now has surpassed the low of the Asian 4 hour candle. 1 hour time frame also trying to continue bearish. So GJ 15-minute candles closed below 142.60. Let's take a look at the 30-minute. 30 minutes still open. Yeah, I think if we continue moving down, we could continue down to 141.920. Yeah, looks like GJ is continuing bearish over here. So let's take a look at the 4-hour. So 4-hour broke the low of the previous 4-hour. So yeah, naturally it should come down to this wick zone. Let's take a look on the daily. Daily broke the high and is now flipping bearish. Take a look at the 1-hour. 30-minute. Yeah. Did we take a trade? Well, there's no we, but I took buys which didn't play out. And then yeah, now we're watching price move bearish. I think a good sell, if you didn't take the buys, could have been, you know, somewhere in this vicinity. Once we had this resistance formed, I mean, yeah, it was pretty evident that we could, you know, come down to this low area, but at the same time, you know, we could have just consolidated at that point. But yeah, I mean, that's probably the only place that you could have taken sells. You know, you would have grabbed kind of like this kind of move over here, and then this is your runners. This move into this next zone is your runner target, and then I think a good runner target would be 141.920. This area right over here. To be fair, I did say for sales I'd want to see a minor resistance, but I've now changed my rules. I'm now sticking to just one trade a day. But yeah, this would have been a nice sell move right over there. But yeah, looks like GJ should continue down to 141.920. HFX, there is a chance now to take some pips long. I mean, I think, I don't think so at this point, because candles are printing bearish. We may be at a buy area, we may be at a strong support, but candles are printing bearish. So I think if you see a bullish candle form in this area, then maybe you could argue that we could, you know, start to slowly come back up again. But I think it's highly unlikely, since, you know, if we look at the candles, we rejected the top, rejected this area, we come down, and now we're moving bearish. So while candles are printing bearish, the worst thing you can do is take a buy. So let's check out gold over here. Oh, gold. Gold is rejecting 1850. Yeah, if gold closes above 1853 800, then I think gold is heading back up to 1856. So let's measure this range. This is like a 20 pip range.
I've mapped out my buys on the gold. I'd like to see it close above 1856 620 to have a target to 1859 890.
Yeah, I think that's also a good idea because then you have a nice clean range at that point. It's like a 25, maybe 40 pip range if we come up to this wick rejection zone. But yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, it seems as though it did break above that area, closed back in the range there in the last few seconds. Yeah, if we break the high of the previous 4 hour, 1856, then I think we're going to be heading back up to 1860, 1861.
Yeah, because I think the 1860 1861 it'll be a perfect place to secure profit, because if you look on a 30-minute time frame, on the 30-minute time frame, if you look on the left, we've got like a support created on that point. We also have got wicks, so potentially we could just carry on to 1862, where we had also the resistance, or we could reject again that area. But overall, I think the gold should be coming down.
Yeah, I think higher time frame, it looks still bearish, but from an intraday perspective, I mean, we still could, you know, reach these levels. But yeah, I would agree with you on everything you said. And I also think, yeah, good buys are going to be maybe even above like 1855. Then you have a nice clean range at that point.
Yeah. The only issue we might have now is if you look on the daily, we might have a problem on the 1854 level because we created a resistance previously.
Yes, I think the thing with that though is that, I mean, since we came down below it and now we're coming back above, I think that's why maybe, you know, we could start to head up. And then, you know, if we come up to the current daily high again, then I think we could break that high and then continue on. So this was the current daily high because this was obviously the Asian session. So I think that would be a good place to target for buys. The
Definitely.
Asian high.
Definitely.
Yeah, right, let's check out GJ. Yeah, GJ is just moving bearish right now. I mean, had I not taken buys, I would have definitely been in sells, probably somewhere in this area. But then it was a very slow moving sell until we kind of got below this minor support over here. But we never did no retest. But GJ should just continue moving bearish at this point.
You know, sometimes the way I look at it, like for GJ, like, you know, sometimes when you have these moves and you feel like you've missed a bit, I actually like to see this because now all this clean bearish candle that we're seeing, we could potentially use it as a target in the future to have buys, and we get in these messy range to fade away, you know, for like future trades, like let's say for tomorrow or after tomorrow. It just makes it more clear to take a trade. So sometimes when I see these big candles, I'm happy to see them because I know that later on I can use them to like as a target or as like a clean range to trade.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I mean, if we do start to head back up again on the daily, then yeah, this is creating that clean moves up for us. So yeah, I would agree with that. But I mean, yeah, seems like sells were the move for the London session. Currently moving around 30 pips. But yeah, very difficult. It was another tough day on the London session today. Very tough day. I mean, it made no sense. Price was moving up. Everything was bullish. We broke above resistance. I mean, if we never done that, then, you know, naturally we could have looked for sells. But the bias was bullish. Yeah, it's tough. I have a zone in 141.950. 141.950. Okay, yeah, 141.950. Strongly rejecting. This is why I told you there was a chance to go up for 10-15 pips. What do you think about that? Yeah, I don't know. Right now it's just continuing down. I think if you was looking for buys on this particular zone, then you would have needed a bullish candle in this area. But frankly, we don't. We just have these bearish candles. So, yeah, I think there's no buys at this point. I mean, technically, there's no sells either because, you know, price has already moved down so much now. Because if you think about it, the sell's been running since the top. So it's almost like a 45 pip sell right over there. About to short GBP CHF. What do you think? Well, if you send a chart, David, then I can certainly tell you what I think. So, what do people think? Well, I don't know if everybody knows, but what do people think about what Boris Johnson did last night behind everybody's back? And he secretly extended the lockdown till July without any vote from Parliament or anything like that. He just went off. He went off and put us all in lockdown and extended it to July.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you got any article I could read that on? Have you got like a link or
Let's look
something?
it up
I have
right
actually
now.
didn't see it.
Boris UK extends COVID lockdown till July 17. Will quarantine visitors for 10 days.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, Boris is a snake. Very right.
I mean, certainly, like there must be something for for him to extend it to July. Whether this vaccine is not 100% accurate, or whether there is maybe going to be like a slight shortages on the vaccine, because otherwise, if the rate of if they're talking about having 200,000 vaccines per minute or per 5 minutes, surely you think everyone's going to be vaccinated by a certain time, and he shouldn't really have to extend it for that long. But
Well, to be honest with you, Salim, I don't understand any of their logic. I mean, I just see. Here's my thing, right? Here's my thing. Look, read this, right? It clearly states here, 5.9 million people have had a first dose. I already know that many of those, I think probably well over 1 million, have already had a second dose. Yet deaths are going up, and these people that have been vaccinated are the most vulnerable. So, I mean, if you think about it, that's like giving someone Nurofen, but their headache getting worse. It doesn't make sense. You know, it doesn't make sense. I don't understand any of the logic, and it's just, it's beyond me now, you know. I mean, like, the fact he's put us into lockdown in July. I mean, deep that for a minute, right? We would have been in restrictions and lockdown for a year. And has nobody woken up to realize that if you can't control a virus in a year, you ain't ever gonna control it? I mean, you can't control a virus. Oh, I don't know, man. I have to admit, I have to be honest with everyone. I was so pissed off the other day about just how crazy and stupid these people are. I actually sent an email to my local constituent and I had a right tear up. I mean, I had to go in with facts. I had to go in with, I want answers to my questions. And yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get a reply, but it's not the point. Point is, I had to make a point, because for me, I mean, look, everybody's view on this is different, but for me, I just don't get it. Like, they're destroying millions of lives on bad data that's not accurate, deaths that aren't accurate. You know, if you look at the flu figures, there's virtually no flu figures, and the reason why is because they've been putting the COVID deaths and the flu deaths together. I mean, why would they do that to start with? Why would they make it look worse than it is? You know, I've kind of had enough of it. I mean, that's just crazy. Like, why the hell would he? I mean, we've been in lockdown now since the beginning of January. And we were all sold the bullshit. Remember what they said? Lock down the country for 2 weeks and we'll be able to get this virus under control. That was last year. Oh, man. I don't understand.
I mean, to be fair, like when we had the second lockdown, you know, the one from the 4th of November to the 5th of December, that's when I knew that that 4 weeks lockdown is not a strong time frame, you know, to make a virus disappear, because it's just not going to work. I'd say a good time frame has got to be, like, realistically, it's got to be at least 12 weeks, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at China, right? I mean, from what they say, whether they're being truthful or not, a strict 2-month lockdown and they were completely back to normal. But that was 2 months of strict lockdown. Fine, whatever. You can say that worked. You can say that doesn't work. But they weren't even allowed to go to the shop, right? They weren't even allowed to go to the shop. But at the end of the day, that was the extent to which for it to work. We're talking about, he's saying, right, that he wants lockdown. Well, we got footballers. We got over 50 men on a, you know, we got 22 players on a pitch. You've got all the staff. They don't have to social distance. They don't have to do the lockdown. They can carry on. You got essential shops open, which I know makes sense, right? I understand that you need essential shops open, but if you truly want to stop transmission, then, you know, it's like saying, okay, well, people can't go to the shop. All right, think about it like this. You can't go to restaurants. You can't go to your local shoe shop. You can't go to your local, I don't know, clothing shop. But where does everybody go? And that's to essential shops. So there's no logic. You know, there's no logic. Even if, let's say, like, they kept them all open, I bet there would be no difference. Because, okay, if I can't go to my local shoe shop, if I can't go to my local clothes shop, but Tesco's down the road is still open, I'll go to Tesco's. And everybody needs food, so everybody's going to Tesco's. I mean, it's just all bonkers. It's just crazy. It really is. I mean, we've been in this situation now for a year. I'm constantly hearing just thousands and thousands of jobs on a weekly basis just down the drain. You know, I've got people on my road that are having their house repossessed because they both lost their jobs, living on universal credit, can't afford the mortgage. It's just crazy. It's just, it's nuts. There's no exit strategy, just vibes. There is no exit strategy. I don't think we're coming out of this for a long while, man. Vaccine doesn't give legit immunity. Man, vaccine is truly just a hoax. We got the flu vaccine. People still die of the flu every year. They don't even have a vaccine for the common cold. They don't even tell you the truth about this vaccine, right? They don't even tell you the full... I'm not saying it's got the microchip or anything like that, but there's some facts that they have not been honest about. One, I know for a fact, they skipped animal trials on this vaccine. That is a fact, right? They're using a new type of vaccine, which does the job differently. They haven't also told you that. Man, I've been doing my research because I don't like people when they come at me with what they think is true. So I was like, you know, I'm going to do my research. I'm actually going to get facts. If someone tries to challenge me, I'll beat them with facts and intelligence. And so, yeah, so they've used a new type of vaccine, which they've never done this particular vaccine before. It's never been done before. And they skipped the animal trials on this vaccine because it was of top priority. It's just crazy. Just vibes, yeah. What was the point of opening lockdown near Xmas? Oh, mate, I don't understand the point of any decision they've done. I mean, even think about the help to eat out. You know, there was actually a point where deaths were going down, R rate was down. You know, everyone was thinking, great, we're out of this now. This was around summertime. Everyone thinking, you know, restaurants have opened back up. Everyone was thinking, lovely, right? It's now going to start calming down. And then they decide to bring out the help to eat out. And then, of course, I mean, they wondered why there was a rise in cases. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. Just crazy. Yes, that a national lockdown, not like UK. Man, I'm so happy that I'm here in Vietnam. We don't have COVID anymore. Probably because you've got people in charge with some brains. Global lockdown, they cronies. I'm most pissed at the media. Oh man, don't even get me started about the media. The media are just scum. I hate to say it. No, I don't even hate to say it. They are just scum. You know, if you actually look since the so I don't know if most people remember this, but who remembers before the pandemic was, you know, officially announced, the pandemic, and we was all being told by the media there's nothing to worry about, you know, and then as soon as they realized that it could fit their agenda, oh, now conveniently every day, you know, we've got that big virus emblem in the background. You know, you're getting told every day how many extra people have died. Man, the fear mongering is crazy. But they've done a great job. They've done in terms of their job, they've done a fantastic job in scaring people. You can't argue with that. Honestly, they've done a great job in scaring people. You can't deny that one. I mean, I've witnessed it for myself. I mean, some people I know generally, I spoke about this last week, generally believe the COVID is the plague. I mean, I want to headbutt a brick wall when someone says that, but I do understand that, you know, not everybody's got that same intelligence and intellect and perspective. So I pity them, but you know, that's up to them. I know what I believe in, and that's it. Then they said vaccine will fix everything. Oh yeah, I know, but the virus is legitimately part of humanity now. They said you'll have to get the vaccine yearly like the flu. Yeah, you have to get the vaccine twice a year. Twice a year you'll need a top up of this vaccine. I've smoked weed every day since the first lockdown. Yeah, nothing else to do. Can't wait to leave England, thinking about next year. Man, I mean, where do you go? Like, 90% of countries all have this group think. You know, Canada, the US will be worse now with Biden in. You know, all the European countries apart from Sweden. Sweden was the only one. You know, it's just, yeah, just crazy, man. Why do they need to scare people? Well, I'll tell you one thing. I can't tell you their true agenda without going too much into like, well, I know some people call it conspiracy, but you know, there's one simple fact that why they want to push the fear, and the reason is because fear is control. Fear is control. You play with someone's emotions and you make them scared. They are easier to manipulate. They are easier to control. That's why they pushed the fear, because they wanted all of us to be submissive to these restrictions, these lockdowns. They want us to all sit at home and watch the TV, dumb your minds, and don't see this for what it is. Big. There you go. I genuinely despise Western media. Yeah, mainstream media, 100%. I think, you know, if you want to be properly informed, there are media outlets which are not the mainstream media, but there are media outlets which will give you the correct facts. You know, I listen to a few people that do actually talk facts, and it's funny because they're these people that I get my information from. They actually expose the mainstream media's lies. They expose, you know, the way they twist things, and when you start to see the manipulation, it is it's just like, it's just crazy. It truly, yeah, I mean, it's just mad. So yeah. New Zealand or Australia? I'd say Australia is probably going to be better, because New Zealand Prime Minister, she's a little bit, yeah. I mean, they had 4 cases and she locked down the entire country, and the family that had it, they got dragged into a quarantine camp. I mean, it was like something out of a film. Like, yeah, she's a bit, I don't know. She's a bit of a lefty, that one. I don't think I want to move to New Zealand. But yeah, I think Australia is probably going to be better. I think they're... yeah, I think it's going to be probably better in Australia. We are not far from Hunger Game movie. It will be real life. Yeah, I mean, look, they're already talking. Look, think about it now, right? We were given the hope of a vaccine, and now they are pushing this agenda that there is a new strain. We can already see what's coming. I mean, I can see what's coming. I mean, come on. There's going to be a new strain. The vaccine's going to be ineffective. We're going to be back in this shit situation again. You know, there's just no denying it. I mean, Sky News, right? They've done a report today, right? They've done a report today. Type it in, new variant. Right? Hang on. Where was it? Here we go. South African variant. This is what they're talking about. 77 cases found in the UK. Right? For one, I could have swear the test just tells you whether you have COVID or not COVID. So, I don't know. How can they know that quickly that there's this new variant here? I mean, oh man. But, you know, they don't even tell you, like, they say, oh, new variant. But, I mean, there's thousands of different variants of the flu. There's a new variant every single year of the flu. You know, they just talk shit, man. They generally believe real thick, uneducated. It's just a lot of... It's just so predictable. But there we go. View on gold, please. We've discussed gold. Salim pointed out some key targets for gold. I mean, right now, you know, I think it's there's some consolidation to the left. if you want a clean range on gold, then the best buys are going to be above 1856, because then you have this nice clean 30 pip range up to 1859. So that's probably going to be your best opportunity for buys on gold. You know, otherwise, since we're closing back in this range, you would want to be careful that it does not consolidate. But this 30-minute looks like it's going to close above these rejection wicks. 15-minute also. So I think once you start to see price closing above, then it should continue moving up. GJ is still trying to continue moving bearish. GU also trying to continue bearish. Euro JPY trying to continue bearish. GCAD also broke down over there. GCAD moved down. Came down to target actually, GCAD. But there we go. So yeah, we just wait and see what goes on here with GJ. Probably end the stream here soon as well, since we had the one trade, didn't play out. The Coronavirus Act and its powers last until March 2022. Well, I would probably say we're more than likely going to be in the same situation by then anyway. Obviously, I hope not. Like, despite what I say, at the end of the day, I hope we're not. I hope that we can get out of this, you know, soon. I do genuinely hope that. It just seems so unlikely, you know, if you think about everything that's happened up to so far. It's just been any excuse for them, you know, like, you know, they've been basing the lockdowns beforehand on bad data, over predictions, you know, way over predictions. I mean, 4 times the amount of what, you know, it really should have been, like, just crazy. But I've completely changed my mind on Boris. I'll say that one. I'm actually a bit annoyed at myself that I used to like him. Because believe me, he is no conservative. You might come across conservative, but he ain't. Not deep down anyway. South African government so messed up. Unemployment is unbelievable. Yeah, it's pretty. Some poor parts of South Africa. But I mean, the problem with those type of countries is, you know, like things like corruption, and it's just so hard to like get rid of. You know, it's very hard to, you know, come back from that and turn that around. You know, and then unemployment, it does lead to, you know, high levels of crime, poverty. So, but yeah, it's like our media, right? They're not even talking about all the riots that are going on against, you know, the anti-lockdown. I'm not even talking about the protests in London, but I'm talking about, I know some people might see there's a lot of riots in Amsterdam at the moment. Due to the anti-lockdown. I think they're pretty pissed off. I think a lot of people are. But yeah, I'm also hearing that in the UK they're gonna do that a load of restaurants and that and shops are gonna open in protest. I think that'd be fantastic if they did that. That would make Boris look like a right fool, because then he would have to either fine them, and if he did, I mean, that's like, I don't know, he probably would, because
I mean, like, if you take a look at, you know, like nightclubs, and like they haven't been open since the first lockdown.
I know.
So it's been even worse for them, and it's just, I know someone who owns 3 nightclubs in Leeds City Centre, and he had to close 2 of them, and now he's only left with 1, and he's even considering to close the 3rd one because he just can't really like cope
afford it.
anymore. You know,
Yeah,
it's too much.
that's true. I've got a friend as well that owns a nightclub near where I am, and they closed down for good 2 months ago. And the ironic thing is, where his nightclub was has now become a vaccine center. They renovated it into a vaccine center. But yeah, man, like no one even thinks about those people, and there's plenty of those businesses, you know, and that's not even including just your local clothes shop, shoe shop, you know, like, yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, they can give you business loans, they can do all these things, but it's not enough, you know, it's not good enough. It's truly not good enough. So a bit of a weak 15-minute candle closed bullish here. Looks like GJ is just going to continue that ride down. Let's take a look on the 5-minute. Yeah, it does seem like it should do so. All unemployed people were supposed to be granted $20 for the month. The government couldn't even do that. Money supposedly got stolen. Yeah, man, look, it's there's some real injustices in this world. There's something that I've realized. You know, there's many injustices. People want to talk about injustice, but there's injustice happen every day, all the time. And I'm afraid, you know, for some people in the race of life, you know, some people do start behind the line. Other people do get a head start. But at the same time, you have to remember that we all have the same destination. You know, so either, I know it's very hard for some people, but you know, sometimes you just have to realize that although it's harder, you know, maybe you just gotta work harder. But yeah, no, I understand. I mean, $20 a month to live off. I mean, I know in South Africa that might be considered, I mean, a lot or a fair bit, but I mean, that doesn't really sound like a good amount to live off, and they can't even do that. I see the thing is that I think people forget as well, like obviously South Africa, right, as an example, okay, $20 a month it's not a lot of money. Like if you was to say to us, okay, you got to live off £20 a month, that's near on impossible. You know, if you got bills, you got food, that's just impossible. So there's always that like trade-off between, you know, living in a country that, yeah, technically, you know, you have the opportunity to make more money, you have the opportunity to, you know, have nicer things, have a bigger home, but at the same time, your upkeep, your minimum amount required to obtain and to sustain, you know, your living is a lot higher. You know, like if you can't afford your £800 mortgage plus your food, your gas, your electricity, then you're out of a home. You know, and that might be, you know, $1,000 a month, $1,200 a month. And if you don't find that $1,200 a month, then, you know, you could potentially lose everything you got. But in some poorer places, you know, your uptake might only be, you know, like $20, which for us is, you know, like if we were to say, if I had a £20 note, I would just view that as, you know, just a bit of change, right? But, you know, to some people that's their whole month. But at the same time, you know, for us, again, if you're not earning a good substantial income, then, you know, you put pressure on yourself. So, yeah. I do like having good discussions and changing topics from, you know, trading and, you know, since sometimes just staring at the charts can be boring, especially when there's no trade, there's no nothing. So it looks like the 15-minute candle is going to break the high of the previous 15-minute candle. Does have a nice clean range if it's going to continue up. But sometimes this is going to happen and it's going to wick up, but then it's going to continue moving down. So do be cautious. Okay, what's gold doing? Oh, gold closed above 1856. So we could see a bit of a pullback, right? Since these candles have been moving pretty bullish. So I think if you start to see some support form, there's also the new 1 hour candle. So the new 1 hour candle could come back to revisit maybe like 1854, 500. You know, come back to this wick zone. And then as it starts to break the high of the previous 1 hour candle, that could be a really good opportunity, you know, to look for buys to fill this range. But you could see a bit of a pullback. May not, but could do. What changed my trading is understanding accumulation phases. Ooh. Accumulation phases. I like the word. I understand what accumulation means, but I think David's gonna have to tell us his theory about accumulation phases in trading. Not something I've looked at. Looks like Euro JPY sells. Price came down. Yeah, it seems as though the entry was going to be right over here for price to continue down. Let's take a look on the 15 minute. Yeah, once this 15-minute candle was breaking this low right over here, that was a really good opportunity to take sells at that point. Just straight, clean, bearish move on EJ. Euro NZD also trying to continue moving bearish. Let's take a look on the 30-minute. Yeah, 8:30 a.m. was a nice candle to sell. Straight. Let's take a look at the 15-minute. Yeah, 15-minute was a little bit more messy. Would have been better to stick to the 30 on that one. Yeah, let's do what I said. Broke the high on the 15 minutes, now flipping bearish again.
You know, looking at gold now, so you know, like how we've had like a good 3 bullish 15-minute candles, and we managed to tap that one at 1856. I'd say we could potentially carry on, but because we're not on the next, you know, session like NY session, I'd say probably what we could see now is maybe a retest to 1854 area, and then to again retest the high of 1856 by the NY session open. That'd be a really good buy because obviously we'll have the volume coming from the NY open. That's what I'll be looking for.
Yeah, I think that can make sense. I'm just thinking whether it's gonna pull back or it's gonna continue on at this point. But I would agree with you.
Yeah, because like we've already moved like quite a bit bullish. You know, it's just I like, as much as I like the setup and as much as I've had that 1856 as an area to look for buys, it's just we can have any pullbacks. You know, it's nice to see another pullback to retest the second line, the middle line that you've had.
Yeah.
And then to respect that support, and then to potentially retest a high, like by the time we get to the NY session open.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think we need to kind of like with gold, because we have these rejection zones here to the left. I think if so, let's say you was looking for buys, and I know that we were expecting a pullback, but really, if we start to break this high over here, or let's take a look on the 15-minute. On the 15-minute time frame, if we break the previous 15-minute high, I think that's also a good signal for gold to continue up. But it may keep tapping into this zone, because if we look at the 30-minute, right, this was a previous rejection zone. So you almost want to see a rejection to the downside for us to, you know, confirm that, okay, now we're starting to leave this area to head further bullish. So we kind of have this zone here to the left, and you can kind of see that this move up into these wicks was a fake out, you know, and then now that's why we saw this big push down, but then we hit a certain level of support, and then we started to correct. So now we'll come back to this area. Oh, look at that. I think if this candle, let's take a look at the 15-minute now, see how yeah, if this 15-minute candle on gold breaks the high right over here, I think gold, yeah, it's broken the high right now. So here's the thing. Let's say, okay, now you're expecting gold to continue up, right? So your entries over here, let's say, I think a good stop loss is going to be somewhere below this area, right? Because now you're expecting price to leave this zone. So the next candle may dip a bit into this zone, but then you're really expecting it to start to drive up, if it's going to do that. If it's going to pull right back in, if this candle is going to pull right back in after breaking this high, right, then at that point, you know, you can manage risk, wait to see if some support is set up over here, and then we start to head up again. And then this is going to be a deeper liquidity on the like the 1 hour, the 30-minute, or even yeah, on the higher time frames. But I don't even know if it really broke the high there, did it? I think it did. By a minuscule, I think it did. It looked more like it did at the start, but there we go. So if we take a look on the 5-minute, maybe it just came right to it actually. Okay, so it never broke it then. So yeah, maybe you could argue it never broke it, so there's not the confirmation yet. But again, like we say, we want to see it leaving the zone. We want to see it breaking the highs over here. You could even argue you'd want to maybe wait for a break of these wicks, since we came right to that previous rejection zone and then we pulled back. Oh, look at this now. We're coming back. So yeah, maybe it's going to need to be to wait for the 1 hour to... Okay, so since price is doing what it's doing now you need to say to yourself, okay, we could potentially reject anywhere in this zone now and then start to head further up. So probably the best thing to do is to wait for price to do it, staying within this range, and then wait for buys back above this kind of minor area over here. This is where you want to have your buys, and then you have this nice clean range at that point, this being your target, you know. But if we come back below this range, then there's no buys, there's no sells. It's very difficult at that point. But this pullback could be because of, you know, the as we're coming into pre-New York, you know, a bit of a pullback, and then we could see a nice continuation. But gold is pretty tough. I thought it broke the 15-minute high, but obviously didn't. Yeah, I don't. It looked like it did, but maybe I need my glasses. Yeah, it literally came to it. It never broke it. So it makes sense. Yeah, see, the 15-minute candle closed bearish, so probably would want to wait for like a support in this area, you know, and then you'd expect this high to get broken as we come into a volume. Oh, look at GJ. So if we look at the 15-minute candle on GJ, I think a really good opportunity would be to sell at this point for price to continue bearish. Take a look at the 5-minute. Yeah, we could possibly come down through this wick and then continue on to 141.820. Yeah, I've taken these sells before, this type of sell before. Last time I took this sell, it didn't work out. But at the same time, I mean, once you have a resistance form like so, it should continue moving bearish. But if it doesn't, then, yeah, I suppose probabilities weren't there. But we're going to call it a day here in a moment. But yeah, I think GJ should continue moving down now. 1 hour, 4 hour. Man, if you used to execute sells now, your risk would be so small, like 3-4 pips. Then you have a nice 10-11 pip range. But since it's coming above the bodies over here, maybe it's going to do what it did to me the last time I took a sell similar like this, where price just continues straight up. But if it is going to continue down, then this would be a really nice sell to come down, but I have to wait and see. Yeah, a lot of rejections on the 5-minute, I suppose. 30-minute. Yeah, I suppose because it broke the low in the first few minutes of the candle, which is never a good sign. Yeah, see, since it's coming up, I think this is kind of what happened to me last time. So yeah, I think we're going to call it a day here today. So we had one... Well, I had one trade here this morning. It was a GJ buy. So my GJ buy was taken above 142.250. It was executed right over here for price to continue bullish. Price moved around 6 to 6.5 pips into profit before retracing and actually continuing moving down. So, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things. I think if, you know, I think looking back, I think once we started to see resistance formed, you could argue that, you know, we're creating structure actually to correct some of this move. So yeah, in effect, we could have caught this sell later on. But I actually changed my rule in the sense that I only want to look to take one trade a day to try and really keep the trading to a minimum as I can, and try and maximize that win rate. So I think one trade a day is going to really help. See how that goes. I've said to myself I could take 2 on a day, but I'm not really looking to do that on a Monday. It's more of like if there's a fairly good second confirmation, like a better confirmation, it's going to be much better to take sells. Sorry, to take a second trade. But yeah, I think looking back, you know, this whole move here was the sell move. You know, this whole bearish move, I think, yeah, it was a little bit messy. You know, there wasn't enough range to this area. I've seen it price come down to the zone and then just consolidate. So I understand that. But if you look at it for what it is, I mean, yeah, this move did happen. You know, I've been caught out in these impulse entries as well before. So you just have to kind of know what you're doing, have a bit of experience taking this type of trade, and then yeah, it can work out really well. So anyway, guys, thanks very much for coming on today. Thanks everyone to the Zoom. So we'll be back.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So we'll be back tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. GMT. I think tomorrow will be a better day. If we take a look on the daily, obviously it depends how the daily closes, but if we start to, you know, go bearish, if this daily closes bearish, then I think that, you know, we could revisit 141,300, and we could also revisit around 140,900, you know, these kind of areas. So, you know, we got a plan. We'll see how the daily closes. If it does close bullish above this area, 142,100, then I'd like to say that we should continue bullish. But yeah, obviously Monday does set the tone for the week. Remember that. So we'll have to obviously wait and see what happens. So thanks everyone. We'll see you tomorrow morning. And make sure you drop a like on the stream. Although we had, you know, a break-even day or a small loss here today, I think it was still a good day. I think the probabilities in terms of what we thought before, there was a good chance of it playing out. It just didn't happen. But yeah, just have to remember that. And yeah, if you want to, you know, in terms of managing risk, I think today was just a perfect example of being cautious, because it would have been a losing trade. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Just wondering, do you want to talk about the session now? Because I've got to head in the gym in a minute.
Oh, yeah. 2 secs.